What's up guys? I'm driving the Range Rover SVR. While primarily the Land Rover Range Rover Sport is known as a soccer player's wife's car in England, the sound that comes out of the back of the exhaust of this car does not sound like it's going to come out of the back of any soccer wife's car. I'm generally a huge fan of the design of all Land Rover products, and this car is no exception. Although it's in a little bit of a conflict with itself in that it's an SUV that wants to be a sports car. It's probably the best at that you can find anywhere in the market right now. So, and plus, you can't really beat that sound. It's second probably only to AMG exhaust notes. And this is my top 5 favorite design features of the Range Rover SVR. I got a chance recently to drive the Range Rover SVR, and it's a shocking car to drive, I have to say. It is impressive in so many different ways. You're looking at this huge Range Rover with really sporty design features. It's a little bit lower to the ground. It has quad exhaust, and it sounds like a fire-breathing monster. Probably most insanely, it handles like a sports car too. You're so high off the ground, and yet you're so stuck to it. I was driving it around the tight corners of the canyon roads around Malibu, and the handling of it was on par with some of the best sports car that I've ever driven. And that part of it, not only doesn't make any sense to me, but it's also weirdly super impressive. This is probably the craziest car that Land Rover has ever built. Just like everything else they've designed, I'm impressed. And it's not just the overall proportions, it's not just the shapes, the lines, the volumes, it's the little details as well, and that's where Land Rover design really shines. And the features that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today may not be any major part of the overall design of the car, but they're elements that add to probably the weirdness and the insanity, the general craziness of the Range Rover SVR as a whole. Number 5 is the design of the steering wheel. The steering wheel of the Range Rover SVR has that classic Range Rover feel to it. It feels very substantial, it feels voluminous, it feels angular and faceted, which is what you expect from a Range Rover. But it also adds an element of sportiness to it. I've often referred to SUVs that are trying to be sports cars as confused, but I gotta say, I'm actually kind of impressed with the Range Rover SVR design, and that just may be me being a Range Rover fanboy, but what can I say? It looks cool. And the steering wheel is one of those elements that screams, hey, this might be an SUV, but it can go fast. Number 4, the interior door panel design. And this may not be necessarily a feature that's much different from any other trim of the Range Rover, but it's something that I think is a cool feature among all the craziness that's going on in the Range Rover SVR. Again, this bulky, massive, really cool looking utilitarian design with a really elegant and subtle touch of luxury, and that's really awesome to see, and that's probably my favorite combination when it comes to car design. Number 3 is the lower part of the front grille. The front bumper design of this Range Rover SVR is just crazy. It's something that you would maybe see in a sketch, but you never think would actually make it into production. It's legitimately a sports car front that ended up on a Range Rover. Huge vents on both sides, really sleek, really cool looking. Some people may think it's a little bit too much, the vents may be a little bit too big, but I'm just in awe of the details of the design of this front fascia. Especially, as I mentioned, the lower end. It has a lot of cool intrigue to it, and it perfectly caps off the front end of this car with all the character and personality that you want to grab from it. And number 2, probably the most WTF feature on the Range Rover SVR is the design of the front seats. You got these really cool looking sporty front seats. They look cool from the front and from the back. They're seats that you would expect to see in maybe a Jaguar F-Type or any other sports car, yet you have them in this giant SUV. And if you ever need a reminder of what an insane monster you're driving when you're in it, the seats give you that perfect impression. And they may not go perfectly hand in hand with the design philosophy, the boxy, the faceted look of the classic Land Rovers, but neither does handling like a Miata. So these seats really put the sports in sports utility. And number 1, hands down, the most impressive design feature, and it's not a visual design aspect, it's more audible and more visceral than anything else, and it's the insane exhaust note that you hear out of the back of this car. It crackles and pops at every chance it gets, and I love it. It makes you feel so alive. That's the kind of thing that you love in a sports car, and you're getting it from a Range Rover, and it's freaking awesome. To be honest with you, I could never get enough of that sound. It's just crazy that it comes out of the back of this giant SUV. But again, that's just the insanity of what this car is. So anyway, those are my top 5 design features of the Range Rover SVR. I hope you like them. Let me know what you think of them in the comment section, and I'll see you next time. Peace.